Welcome to Club and Country here on the 440 Sports Network. 2 matches down, 6 points in the bank. I am Braden Gall. You can follow me on the internet at Braden Gall.
I'm Ben Wright. You can follow me on the internet at Ben Wright.
I'm Steve Cavendish. You can follow me on the interwebs at Cavendish.
Make sure you support our good, amazing local sponsors because we are brought to you by East Nashville Brew Works. And they're a great place to go watch these matches as they continue to unfold. Not just USA matches, but all of the matches, of course, in the World Cup. They are one of the home bases for the Japanese national watch parties that are taking place, of course, with their headquarters being here in Nashville. That's the kind of community that East Nashville Beer Works is known for. It's in the tagline, boys. Beer is community. And according to medical professionals, a couple of beers in moderation with people around you in real life, good for your health. Good. Don't listen to me. Listen to medical professionals.
Do these medical professionals have a interest in any local breweries?
No, actually, Steve, you smart aleck. That's probably how you ended up with that hole in your mouth. We'll talk about that in a second. Being a smart aleck all the time. No, actually, I did an interview. This is a little weird. I did an interview with an evolutionary scientist, and he wrote it in a book. And he has no ties to East Nashville Beer Works. But you should go to East Nashville Beer Works and go check it out. 2 great locations, of course, watch parties all tournament long in East Nashville location and then in the really East Nashville location out there in Wilson County. We've got a lot of stuff to get to. The greatest start in the history of a men's World Cup tournament for the U.S. men's national team. So many yellow cards, so much so that I'm not sure everyone fully understands the exact rules. So we'll lay that out. And then the 3 of us are going to make a case for strategy around the starting lineup in the Turkey A match, the final match of the group stage. I will be arguing for start everybody exactly as they are. Ben will be arguing to not play anybody at all, and Cav will be arguing a middle ground somewhere in the gray area, as it were. So we'll do that a little bit later on. Obviously, we'll break down the 2-0 win over Australia, and then we'll take a look at the path that the USA at the end might actually have for those of us who are getting way ahead of ourselves, like me. We're going to look at the path potentially for the United States as it begins to clear a little bit as group stage unfolds in the knockout round. Boys, 2-0 win on Friday over the Aussies. All we got to do is get an own goal, create an own goal by the other team in the first 12 minutes, and we can win matches in the World Cup. That's the strategy, guys. That's the strategy.
Why score for yourself if you can get the other team to score for you? That's what I've always said.
It just rolls off the tongue. Is that what you teach all 11 of your kids?
We actually are 22 now. We have 2 full teams going against each other 24/7 at our house.
It's good that you can get a full scrimmage in at your house.
Well, no, they're not old enough.
We're serious about like elite youth development here. So
they're not old enough to play 11v11. It's just 9v9. So
they're old enough. You can start them early. We don't teach how to kick the ball or pass or anything. We just do 2-footed tackles starting at 9 months old.
Just 7-year-olds playing 11v11 is hilarious to me. All right, so look, we got lots of stuff to get to. The USA wins 2-0, 1.08 xG for US, 0.35. Very effective, 62% of the ball. I think the game, guys, unfolded kind of exactly as Ben and I talked about it last week. We knew they were going to play 5 in the back, Australia. We knew it was going to be a tougher match. Offensively, less space. We'll talk about Christian Pulisic, of course, not being in the lineup, resting. Obviously, the calf injury, much more serious than we expected. And certainly Mauricio Pochettino has a lot of choices and decisions to make in the third match. But I think it kind of unfolded the way we wanted it to, the way we expected it to. A set piece in the 43rd minute, I thought very well designed. They got a lucky bounce, but Freeman is playing a wonderful tournament so far in 2 matches and is on the spot to put it back. They win 2-0. Really no challenge from Australia offensively as expected. What do we make of the actual performance on the pitch on Friday?
I mean, like you mentioned, I think it was exactly what we expected from Australia. They're definitely a defend first team. In a lot of ways, they kind of remind me of past editions of the U.S., just how they defend first, look to hit on the counter. They don't necessarily have the most talented players, but they're super organized and very together. And I think, honestly, in a lot of ways, their entire soccer development feels like the U.S. did maybe a decade or 2 ago. But I wasn't surprised at how they approached the game. I think it was absolutely crucial for the U.S. to score early, because the longer you go without scoring, the deeper they sit, the more frustrated you get. And I think the harder it gets to break them down. So the fact that they scored within the opening 15 minutes, it didn't force them to completely open up, but I think they were able to find more space than they would have otherwise. if you're 70 minutes into a game and they're holding on to a clean sheet. So I think getting off the bat as quickly as they did made it a much more manageable game for them.
I don't think that we have considered what home field advantage means for the U.S. maybe until this game, in part because the home advantage for the U.S. can typically kind of get watered down depending upon who the opponent is. Like if you watch a U.S. Mexico game, the stands may be 50-50. It may be that way against sort of other opponents too. If there's like a big build up and they bring a ton of fans, or if you go play El Salvador in the DC area, it's going to be a 50-50 game. And so I don't think we think about, at least I haven't up until this point, about what a home World Cup means for the U.S. with everybody buying in. And now, boy, I heard that stadium roar early, and you could sort of see it on the Australian players' faces. And really, when you saw the heads drop at that own goal, particularly from the own goal was created by someone who had been in particular mouthing off back to the U.S.
Are you referring to Ipswich Town legend Cameron Burgess?
I am. And when you heard that roar and you saw the energy of it, and you saw the U.S. players' reactions to it, you're like, oh, this is a thing. This is a very real thing. And, in order for the U.S. to have any sort of run, it's going to take something like that. It's going to take some sort of outside pieces to it. And the crowd is definitely one of them. And boy, I mean, Seattle came to play. It was amazing.
And wasn't the Australian supporter section sitting right behind that goal too? Like, wasn't?
And they all just dropped.
It was like it was like right in front of their faces too. Just brutal.
There's a couple of camera angles where you can just see all of these heads just dropping in the Australian section. It's amazing.
We're all doing it on screen, by the way. We're all doing the deflated motion on screen. So this is a good reason to watch the show on YouTube, 440 Sports. You can also see the giant hole in Cav's face. I just want to point that out. Continue, Ben. Sorry to interrupt.
I was at a watch party at an unnamed location that happened to have the front row. The front row of the watch party was probably 6 or 7 Australian guys. Super nice guys. I think every single one of them had mullets. Definitely cool to hang out with. They were incredibly deflated and ended up just sitting on the floor of the parking lot for the rest of the game.
What was the match where they showed a shot back? Was it Portugal maybe, where in their first match where they drew? Where they showed a shot back in maybe it was Lisbon. Again, maybe I'm mistaking it. And it was a huge, enormous watch party. And they had one little pack of fans from the other team at the watch party back in the home country. They scored a goal and these 8 people are going crazy. And it's literally thousands of fans all around.
Yeah, it was Congo, right?
Congo, that's right.
Right. And it was was like a little enclave of Congo fans in a sea of Portuguese.
It was
wild. It was a vibe. They did not care. I mean, credit to these guys for coming out for a U.S. watch party. They were awesome.
So if you want to go to a watch party to watch U.S. matches where you're not going to have to experience supporters of the other teams, which, by the way, we do love that about the World Cup, everybody getting along. But if you don't want to be inundated with Turkey fans, go to East Nashville Brew Works. It's a good place to go.
I was up in New York, and we were trying to decide between there was a watch party that's basically at the bottom of the Brooklyn Bridge, and there was another one at Hudson Yards, and we ended up over at Hudson Yards, and it was just this huge outdoor plaza, and it's just packed, and it was great because everybody is there in their jerseys, and it's a big sort of mixed vibe. And then when the game starts, you realize, oh, there are a lot of U.S. fans here. This is a mostly U.S. crowd. There were a bunch of Aussies out there as well, and everybody was, there was some good natured kind of ribbing going on beforehand, and it was just the vibes right now are spectacular. And if you can get a chance to get to New York right now, which is still riding the high of a Knicks NBA championship, I was walking down the street to grab bagels the morning of the game. Got fist, and I'm wearing my U.S. jersey. I got fist bumped by 2 people on the street. I got 3, sup head bobs, and just people left and right.
Awesome.
excited and energized by this, and I think part of that too is like this city, that city is like on a roll right now, and everybody's happy, and it's a very fun place to be.
I know go ahead, Ben.
I was gonna say I went to the Spain Saudi Arabia game yesterday in Atlanta, which was getting there was a whole other story. But the atmosphere around the stadium was unbelievable. They had a fan fest. There were 68,000 people in the stadium, a sellout. That the atmosphere in the stadium was amazing and like loud. Probably the second loudest sporting event I've been to besides Nashville's match in Tigres. It was incredible, but the vibe outside the stadium was one of the coolest things I've ever experienced. Because I mean, obviously it was the majority Spain fans, but like fans wearing pretty much. I think I counted a jersey from every single team at the World Cup, and everybody was just hanging out, chilling together, watching highlights of other games on the other screen, like making plans for where they were going to watch the next 3 games that day, like DJs dancing, like everybody. It just felt like a massive party, and it's the best vibes that I've felt like in the US in a long time. So it was a really cool atmosphere.
Yamal gets on the board early in that one, of course, and then it's a blowout 4-0. A little different than the Cape Verde match at the beginning of last week. Not nearly as cool as Manhattan, the Brooklyn Bridge, or the Spain match, but I was in Hendersonville for a 3-on-3 tournament.
Were you playing in it?
No, my daughters were playing in it on the Saturday after the first match, and I'm wearing the USA kit. And to your point, like I saw a gentleman walk by with a Mexico kit on, and we just immediately start talking. Like I was like, man, hey, nice win. Raul was great in that first opener, super emotional. And he's like, yeah, you guys play great. Like we just immediately are talking about the cup happening. And yes, we're at a soccer tournament, so it's a target-rich environment. But like still, it was just very cool to see people reacting in a town like this that has no real tie other than the Japanese team is practicing here, right? Like we don't really have that connection like a fan fest or whatever, and it's still taking over the community. And go to a good local brewery to watch the games. East Nashville Brew Works, Yazoo Brewing Company, Tennessee Brew Works.
I think that is kind of universal too. Like, I mean, definitely the U.S. is where you're going to get that least. But like back when I lived in Turkey, before I spoke Turkish, like you could just kind of run into anybody on the street and like start naming soccer players or soccer teams. And like you would be like nodding back and forth and like kind of get the gist of what the other person was talking about. And like there's just like a commonality and like a common language of the game that you don't have to actually speak an actual language to find some common ground.
So Pepi starts instead of Pulisic. They start kind of a 2 forward formation there, a little bit more top heavy from those two. Makes sense. We'll get into the choices that Pochettino is going to have to make for the Turkey match, but he eventually brings in Berhalter in the 74th minute for Pepi. Scally comes in for Dest. Trusty comes in for Robinson. Haji Wright comes in for Balogun. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then Reina comes in the 96th minute for McKinney. A lot of those just sort of, they are what they are. A lot of yellow card conversation here looming, but let's get to Pulisic of it all. First of all, do you like the Pepi choice and what they did with the rosters, considering the opponent? They're going to face a very different opponent against Turkey, but total opposite. No defense, all shots, all offense, all gas, no breaks. Going to be fun to watch. Challenge some newer players potentially. What do you make of the roster management during the Australia match and Pepi getting in? And then we could talk Pulisic as well in terms of how concerned should we be, or is he ready to go for a chunk of time against Turkey to get ready for knockout?
I was surprised that they went with Pepi. I did a whole story at 615 Soccer kind of breaking down the options to replace Pulisic, and I just went with similar, like wide players. I thought they were just going to essentially keep things the same and just swap in another body for Pulisic. But I thought it made a lot of sense. I don't think Pepi was particularly great when he got the ball, but I don't think he was really in there to do anything with the ball. I think he was more in there to distract Australia's backline from Fuller and Balogun, who, I mean, credit to him, he didn't get on the score sheet, but he was the one who sets up the opening goal. He drifted off to the left and drove at the back line and played that cutback. And Pepi would have, if not for Cam Burgess, Pepi was there to score. But I do think it makes sense when you're playing against a back five, especially like the wing backs are going to defend the wingers, and then you have 2 center backs to mark 2 forwards. You're never, like, defenders never want to go full man to man across the back line. Like if you have a 3-man back line and you can pin them back with 2 forwards, it's going to leave one defender to kind of be the free man, but they're still going to be paying attention to the two strikers. And then you can get guys like Weston McKennie and Malik Tillman underneath to have space that they otherwise wouldn't. And so I thought it was really smart from Pochettino. I hadn't kind of considered that option, and I think it makes a lot of sense why he did it. I don't know if this is something that you're going to use more down the stretch in the rest of the tournament. I kind of think this is a one-off blueprint for this specific game, but it worked really well, and they got what they needed from it.
I think the U.S. is going to rarely see teams this defensive against them from here on out. I mean, Turkey is certainly not going to do this. They have, their whole MO so far has been to take about 50 shots from distance, and I think we'll see more of that again. When we saw Pepi in the warm up games, he was really impressive for like how he interacted with Pulisic, in particular, setting up one of those goals I think against Senegal, and he was dynamic in a very interesting sort of way. And so I just expected him to kind of move over to the left and kind of slot into that Pulisic position. But if you look at kind of like how the goal, that first goal was set up, it was him occupying the center backs that gave Balogun kind of the one-on-one space, which he just torched his guy on the left, got around him, plays that ball over, which eventually becomes the own goal. And that's created by the space. And I think it's a good example of Pochettino, largely getting things right again. And it gave me a lot of confidence sort of in Pochettino kind of going forward. One of the things that we always kind of worried about under Berhalter was I think Berhalter had a pretty good reputation for adjusting his lineups, particularly like in the last World Cup. We saw him a couple times adjust a lineup or adjust some spacing at during those games where he'd gotten it wrong from the beginning, and the U.S. played under some duress. And I think Pochettino has largely gotten things right from the start, which has helped. And then kind of like his moves, in game have been pretty good as well. It just gave me a lot of confidence sort of in kind of like what his game management is going to be.
I know that Freeze hasn't really been tested yet, and certainly could get some opportunities in this third match. And so we could discuss that as part of this question I'm about to ask you. But is there anything that feels dramatically different than what you expected it to be? Kev, you talked about maybe we didn't talk enough about the home field advantage, and I would argue that when Balogun scored the second goal, that just unbelievable cutback left foot upper 90 at the end of the first half against Paraguay, I thought that's when I was like, oh my God, this building is going to explode. Like that's when I felt like it was a party. It went from 2-0. Worst score in soccer, right? Tough, would have been tense the whole second half to this is a party. And I felt like that was when I noticed the home field. Is there anything about the lineup that you feel differently about today after two matches that maybe good or bad than when we started this prior to the group stage?
Well, I think just in general, I like how Pochettino has looked at these players, and I've got sort of kind of three names here written down on my sheet here. Freeman, who we can talk about a little bit, it's really sort of him seeing Freeman that has kind of unlocked a little more confidence in the back line.
Future EPL right back?
Maybe.
Pochettino said that he could be one of the best players at his position in the world in a couple years, and I think before the tournament that may have felt like an exaggeration, and I kind of buy it now.
I'm with you, Ben. Yeah.
But in particular, how he has seen Tillman, who has always been this kind of like a little bit more forward kind of player, and kind of pulling him back and using kind of his skills in the middle of the field has worked really well. But I mean, how long have American coaches looked at Sergiño Dest and tried to play him as a right back? And how many times have we said, okay, well, we have Dest as a right back in offensive situations where we want to be the aggressor, and we're going to have somebody else to kind of like for protection's sake because Dest is not that guy. And I credit Pochettino with like kind of looking at this and going, I would like to not have that feeling. I would like for him to maximize his time in the offensive half of the field and pushing him way up. And yes, he's kind of technically I guess a wing back, but he's really just an out and out winger, and it maximizes his skills. Yeah. He's great on the counter press. He is when they turn the ball over, he is quick to be the aggressor back, trying to turn the ball back over and get possession back for the U.S. That's been really important so far. You saw it a bunch in the Paraguay game. You really saw it a couple times in the first half of this game.
He's playing with a lot of confidence right now.
How has it taken us this long to quit trying to put more defensive responsibilities on Dest and just say, fuck it, he's our best right winger?
Before you go, Ben, I do want to say I think Freeman and Tillman were the two names that are different than the 2022 roster in large part. They are clearly starting caliber pieces today and weren't involved. And I think those two guys were people like me were hopeful that those two players would rise to the occasion, that they were sort of the reason you could find some optimism in this new lineup, because it is a lot of similarities to last year or to last Cup's roster to some degree. There's plenty of difference down the roster. But those two guys feel like they were going to have to be the difference. And I don't think through two matches you could have asked for more from those two guys playing the roles that they are and getting more. Like, they have been outstanding in terms of what they've been asked to do and what they've delivered.
Well, and I think the way that Pochettino has figured out how to get Tillman and McKennie on the field at the same time has been really smart, because I think we all assumed, just with the amount, or I guess lack of center midfielders, especially like 8s and 6s on this roster, that McKennie would be the guy who is partnering Adams kind of as a more box-to-box midfielder with maybe some more defensive responsibilities. And it felt like that position group was pretty shaky. And I don't think any of us, I mean, to Steve's point, I don't think any of us really had an idea how Pochettino was viewing Malik Tillman. And he's been more of the partner to Tyler Adams, at least out of possession. And McKennie has been able to kind of push forward as number 10. But I think it's been really smart how Pochettino has set them up there. It's a very lopsided formation. And I think it's intentional. So if you refer to like Dest and Robinson as wingbacks, and that kind of shifts based on if they have possession or if they don't. But in possession, only one of them really pushes high, and the other kind of sits a little bit deeper, and it forces the opposition's shape to be pretty lopsided, and it always leaves basically a runner wide open at the back post. So if McKennie and Dest are kind of, they have possession on the right side and McKennie and Dest are there, Dest will drop in a little bit and force the opposition left back to step up. Then it leaves this pocket of space for McKennie to run into. Freeman has been exceptional at hitting that ball. So McKennie's always making that run forward. Freeman will hit him in space. The entire opposition will shift over to cover that right side. And then you'll have you'll have Anthony Robinson or Christian Pulisic on the back post wide open. And the same thing happens on the other side. Like, when they have the ball on the left side, Tim Ream is able to hit that ball into space to either Robinson or Pulisic. He'll make the run. He'll look for the cross into the box, and then you'll have Dest or McKennie open on the back post. And so they've done a really good job at not just getting their best players in their best spots, which I think is important, but they're like really smart at how they like disorganize the opposition and how they kind of force them to put players where the U.S. wants those players. And it's been really impressive. I think that's just how they've evolved so quickly, because we weren't having any of these conversations until maybe the Senegal or Germany friendly, like a few weeks before the World Cup. And so it feels like whatever they did in this training camp after they named the roster, they figured stuff out really, really quickly. And they don't just look like we're not just saying, oh, this looks pretty good for a U.S. team. I think we're all saying like this, they look like one of the best teams at the tournament so far. And we're at a point where you've seen teams like Belgium struggle significantly, and other teams have struggled significantly. And the fact that this U.S. team has played 2 games against 2 pretty difficult opponents and still look like one of the better teams at the tournament, I think maybe we're not talking enough about just like this team ceiling at this tournament right now.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do that then. I was going to save the path. Oh, how about this? We'll do that. I'm going to ask you guys about that ceiling and that upside when we talk about the path here coming up in a little bit. Make sure you check out our great and amazing local sponsors. Tennessee Brew Works, of course, downtown. If you're hanging out downtown, right on Ewing Avenue. Elite food at a brewery. You're going to get some of the best food you'll ever have. You can go have a fine dining meal there and get great local craft beer from Tennessee Brew Works. All their ingredients are, at least as many as possible, are from the state of Tennessee. They're right down from Third Man Records right there on Ewing Avenue downtown, so you can go check out a bunch of other cool stuff around the area. There's a lot of great places and great things to do downtown, but make sure you swing by Tennessee Brew Works. Start your evening downtown with Tennessee Brew Works. They got live music starting at 4 on Friday, so come out and celebrate, hopefully, another U.S. win. Check out our great local sponsors, East Nashville Beer Works, Tennessee Brew Works, and Yazoo Brewing Company. Pulisic of it all, do you guys want to mention that real quickly? Any concerns about him? How do you want to see him used in Turkey, if at all?
I'm fairly concerned. I mean, calf contusions can last a couple weeks. So I think he'll play again in this tournament. I also think worst case scenario is not that unrealistic, and he's just kind of Josie Altidore in 2014, where he got injured early and was kind of a non-factor for the rest of the tournament. So I think it makes sense to hold him out against Australia, and I think he shouldn't see the field against Turkey. I mean, give him 2 weeks off and hope he's healthy.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. The Pulisic has had a history of these kind of knocks. I mean, you can look at how he's been in and out of the Milan lineup over the last couple of years, and if we have access to the Pulisic of the first half of that Paraguay game, that's what you want. And so what do you have to do in order to activate that? And if it means having a couple of games out and then prepping him for a round of 32 or a round of 16, great, do that, because that guy is one of the most effective attackers in the tournament. And as particularly when you start to kind of pour all the factors together, and any sort of run for the US requires a lot of different things happening. He can be one of those factors.
Yeah, and I think when you talk about upside, it's hard to talk about upside and not talk about how impactful he will or will not be down the stretch. I think now that the Turkey matchup means literally nothing outside of momentum and internal dynamics and locker room and confidence. It doesn't mean anything in the actual standings. I think it is completely fair to keep him out altogether. If he is healthy enough to get some run maybe at the end of the match and you want to lather him up again, I can understand that argument, but the fact that this match means literally nothing, they've already won the group, which I can ask you about that too. Do you like the tiebreaker element of all of this? Now that they've won the group and will be the 1 seed coming out of this group and are D1 and are already lined up in their slot in the knockout, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to challenge Christian Pulisic's health. That being said, this is the only World Cup of Christian Pulisic's entire existence that will happen in America. And when he's surrounded by these quality of players, I think eventually you've got to find a way to go when it matters. And so forget Turkey. He's got to figure out a way to go. That's not questioning toughness. That's not what that means. I'm just saying this is your one shot at this thing. As a soccer player, as an international star, you got to be out there somehow, some way in the future.
Spoken like an executive of the Wells Fargo Corporation.
All right. East Nashville Beer Works, Yazoo Brewing Company, Tennessee Brew Works. We're going to play a game here, and we're going to call it, because we got huge decisions here to make around the starting lineup against Turkey as it pertains to yellow cards. So first and foremost, we're going to play a game called Right or Ballarong. What do you think?
Oh, wow. Yes.
My silence speaks volumes.
The SEO didn't get any better since this was workshopped in the group chat.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take any feedback on SEO titles anymore. That was
he's got choices to make. So here's the first thing I need you guys to do. I want you two to lay out exactly what the yellow card rules are for everybody out there. We were watching the match with soccer people, and afterward, we were still looking up the rules, trying to make sure we fully understood exactly. It resets after group stage. It resets after quarterfinals. with the yellow card rule. But much like the ties, right? Goal differential and ties is a small tweak to the rules in the World Cup. So is this yellow card thing. So let's remind everybody, please tell everybody first and foremost what the actual yellow card rules are.
They are stupid. That's what they are. No, it's not a huge tweak in actually how the rules work. It's the same as it's been for a while. If you get 2 yellow cards at any point in the tournament, you have a 2-match or a single match suspension. That's how it's always been. I think FIFA has started to realize that that's a little bit ridiculous, and players were getting suspended in important games for yellow cards that they picked up forever ago. So they added in kind of 2 resets after the group stage. Single yellow cards reset, and then again after the quarterfinals. So if you picked up 1 yellow card in the group stage and pick up a yellow card in the round of 32 match, under the old format, you would have been suspended for the round of 16 match. That's gone now. Say a player comes in, gets a yellow card against Turkey, they won't be suspended if they pick up a yellow card in the round of 32 match. So that's a slight change. It still does impact. Suspensions are still there. Like if you're Tyler Adams and you pick up a yellow card against Turkey after picking up one in the opener against Paraguay, even under this new rule, you would still be suspended for that first knockout match. So that's still like a major factor to look at in this upcoming match. That doesn't mean anything. You still have 4 key players who are a card away from missing a much more important match and the most important match of the tournament. So, I mean, it's still a pretty major factor.
So they added a round, and instead of adding one more card that you could take, which would have made more sense, what they said was, no, we'll add a second amnesty period here.
Yep.
And it's made it really confusing, and nobody knows what the rule is. Everybody assumed it was the round of 16, which is kind of what it had been. I think what it had been in the past, but this is after the group stage now. So you have basically, you'll play 3 games, amnesty. If you keep going, you play 3 more games, amnesty. And so now everybody's clear by the time the semifinals start, because what you don't want, and this is the kind of the classic problem, that people have missed the final because of yellow card accumulation, and what you don't want is some major star picking up a late, stupid penalty for time wasting, and all of a sudden they're out of the World Cup final. And so FIFA thought that they were fixing it this way, and I think that what that does is it stands in sort of opposition to how leagues work. I mean, in the MLS, you have to, what the accumulation is 5 yellow cards.
Yep.
And then the EPL offers a slightly different version of that, but you have to accumulate a number of cards over a period of time,
and you can get those cards, and you can go X amount of games without picking up a card and take 1 off your tally
for good behavior.
Yeah.
Time off for good behavior.
Something
like that makes a lot more sense.
I mean, just 2 cards is such a stupidly low threshold, like especially in knockout games that are going to be intense and players are going to be playing hard. But like yellow cards are just part of the game, and so to punish players for 2 yellow cards, which is nothing, and have them miss like major games is ridiculous. And I mean, 3 would be better, but like even that, like I don't know. It just feels like there is no reason to have it be this low, other than the fact that suspending people is enjoyable somehow. Like it doesn't. I don't think it benefits anybody.
What about 3 in the group and then 2 in each section of the knockout? Because I don't mind having.
What do you mean 2 in each section?
Well, so you have
if you get 2 yellow cards in one section.
Well, meaning like, so again, if you get a yellow card in the round of 32 and then you pick up another one, which by the way sometimes are very much on purpose, right? Professional fouls. If you're doing a yellow card in the 32 and then a round of 16, you're still suspended beyond the reset. Just like if Adams, Robinson, Richards, or Balogun gets a yellow card in this match, you got the 2 within the confines of the reset, but because you picked up the 2, you're still suspended for the next section of the tournament. So what I don't mind is, to your point, Cav, about the semifinal. If you do something egregious, pick up a red card or 2 yellows in one match, then you're suspended for the final. And I think you have to do something to earn that suspension to some degree. If you had 3 in the group stage, basically if you had 1 per match is what we're talking about here. If you got 1 yellow card per match, you finally got suspended. Wouldn't that make some sense here?
I mean, anything makes more sense than what they have right now.
Right.
But I think the reason why we're focusing on this is because FIFA's largely gotten a lot of the rules changes right in this tournament. I
like head-to-head just as a American sports fan, but I know people don't like that. So
I wish they had made like a bigger deal about announcing it before the tournament. I think it was a little surprising to everyone that they had done. They didn't make a big deal about it.
Yeah,
and that's a big sort of change because everybody had kind of focused on goals before that. But getting players off the field quickly speeds up games. It's great. The 5-second rule on throw-ins. We've already seen a couple of fouls there. Will speed up games, and I think
getting goalkeepers get penalized for taking forever on goal kicks.
Yeah,
with
Americanizing,
a corner, which is like a huge.
Americanizing the clock so that we have 4 quarters, also very important.
Apparently now and at least now in the minds of box announcers, we have 4 quarters. So.
By the way, that hydration break got the loudest boo at the stadium.
Oh, nice!
I'm sure it did.
They tried playing. They tried playing "Take Me Home, Country Roads" like as soon as people started booing because it's just a reflex. Like, you can't hear that song and not start singing to it. But they had about 30 seconds. I kid you not, like the entire 68,000 fans who were there just loudly booing it, which kind of made me.
Got to get your ads in there, though, man. You got to get your ads.
To be fair, I did go to the bathroom during both hydration breaks because it felt like a good way to protest. I was doing the opposite of hydrating, and it felt like that would make a statement.
So now everybody knows the rules. We'll quickly discuss the strategy on Turkey A's match on Thursday evening late. Don't get me started on the 9 o'clock time. Cav, you and I can talk about that on our sports media and business podcast. 10 p.m. Eastern time is not a time for kids to watch one of the more important U.S. match. No, I guess this one's not an important match. It's the least important. But you only get 3 every 4 years, man. And if you're a kid,
No, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying.
I hear you.
Legitimately, the least important match they will have ever played at a World Cup. But I want my kids to watch it.
I also don't really love playing important matches at 2 p.m., which is when the quarterfinal match could be coming up on a Friday. But anyway, especially when you are in the country that you can put the games on TV. Anyway, all right, we'll talk about that on a different pod, Steve. Okay, so right or wrong? Here we go. This is the game. We're each going to take a strategy here. I am going to argue. We're each going to make the case for the strategy. It doesn't mean we agree with that strategy, but we had to break it up. There's kind of 3 different strategies. Ben is going to try to make the case for benching everybody with a yellow card to avoid any possible future suspensions. I am going to make the case for leaving everything exactly as it is. And then Steve's going to make the case for what could be a middle ground somewhere in the middle. So I'll start here because I feel like mine's going to get shot down very quickly. But here would be the case for starting everybody, which is to maintain continuity, to maintain consistency, to be predictable. Athletes are creatures of habits. They love to know exactly what to expect and how to do it and when to do it, and having everybody do the exact same thing that they have done in the first 2 matches and have everybody do the exact same thing that they're going to do in the knockout round does make some professional athletic sense. And that would be the argument for that. You probably wouldn't play them for more than, I don't know what the number would be, 20, 30 minutes. You'd ask them to be extremely careful. It is extremely risky, but there is some benefit to maintaining sort of consistency on match day where everybody knows their role, everybody does the exact same thing, and you get them in there, they get their legs loose for a little 30, 45 minute, I don't know how long you keep them in there for, depending on the quality of the player and maybe how well they're good at controlling their temperament during the match, like all that kind of stuff. That is the argument that you would make if you were charged with making the argument for starting everybody exactly as is, regardless of the cards. That would be the argument. Feel free to make your case, Steve Cavendish.
Wow, that was Ballo wrong. Is that what we're saying this?
Yep, could be.
Ballagong, Ballarong. That was very Ballarong.
That was Gall blather. I don't know. Keep going.
I just don't think you. I don't think you want to risk. You don't want to risk not having these players in a round of 32, even though I think we'd be favored with some of these players sitting out. What I think you should do is you need to get more people playing time anyway, and this is a very good excuse to do that. What you want is, since we have 26 people on the roster, you want you want some of those players, like, I don't know, I'm thinking about like Haji Wright or Brendan Aronson or Christian, exactly, or Christian Roldan. You give those people some meaningful minutes, start them or put them out there at halftime. You need to have you need to activate your 26-man roster, and having people just sitting and kind of like only using about 14 or 15 guys really doesn't advantage you if you make a deeper run, because you're going to need all of those players. It's now an 8-round tournament, and if you think that you want to win this thing, you're gonna have to play 20 players at least in order to do it. And so I think you need to start some different sort of guys this time around. It'll let you kind of tweak it for whatever Turkey's going to do. And then if you want to give some of your starters who are on a yellow a chance to run around for 10 or 15 minutes at the end of the game, or to kind of stretch their legs, they're late, great, do that. But you're gonna have to have a lot stronger team top to bottom. And I think we've seen the best players for the U.S., but we need to see a deeper version of the U.S.
You're pointing the wrong direction. if I
our screens aren't the same, Ben.
I'm just doing what I'm told.
I'm pointing the wrong direction is what I'm hearing. Continue.
You need to be pointing the right direction. Boom.
Ben Wright says Haji Wright should start.
I mean, I would legitimately make 10 changes to the starting lineup, potentially 11. I think you can maybe keep Matt Freese in goal, but I think you can throw Matt Turner in there and give him another cap. He was the starter in 2022. Just go for it. I mean, like, there is nothing to gain here from winning this match, and if you lose this match 10-0 with your backups, you're in the exact same position that you would have been if you had won it 10-0. I mean, like Steve said, this is a 26-man roster. It's a deep roster. I think you can make an argument that it's important just to keep like the vibes and the group high by rewarding these players who have worked insanely hard over the last 4 years by giving them a start in a World Cup, even though it doesn't mean anything. Like, it's a huge deal for them. I think it is the downside to potentially losing a starter to either yellow card accumulation or injury in this game is significantly higher than any upside that you would gain by keeping the typical match day rhythm, or whatever argument you can make. I think there are ways to get around that. I mean, we've even seen some teams like England scheduling friendlies during the World Cup against teams in the U.S. I think they played a game against like a USL League One or whatever. You can do that, keep some level of match fitness, change your training routine. I don't think, if we play this game against Turkey and Tyler Adams does his calf and is out for the rest of the tournament in a game that means absolutely nothing, that it's not just frustrating. That's like a tournament defining injury. And so the downside to that just feels absolutely ridiculous. I wouldn't put any players on who are on yellow card watch either. I don't think, like, putting in Chris Richards for the final 10 minutes and having him pick up a yellow card, because Turkey have nothing to win in this one. They're pissed off. They're going to be trying to wind players up and bait them into stupid fouls. They're going to be taking cheap shots. And like, this team was already frustrated against Paraguay and Australia, and I think they're going to come into this one even angrier. So I think it's a pretty lose-lose scenario in a lot of ways. I think the only argument that you can make for playing anybody potentially important is giving Fuller and Balogun a few minutes, because he is legitimately in the race for the Golden Boot. And if you put him in for 15 minutes and
picks up
try to get him a goal, that's fine. But like, no one else should sniff the field. Like, don't even let them put on cleats. Like have them in street clothes on the bench and keep them far away from this.
Of the 4 that are on yellows, good cases by both of you guys. Cavs argument, depth is critical. And actually, my favorite argument that you made, Ben, is that in theory, you could actually keep the confidence and the vibes high from a mental, because that would be my only concern really about benching everybody. It makes no sense to start everybody. And that was just my argument I had to make. Yeah. But the only argument is that I am so, and I realize that we're not this fragile, but I am this fragile as an American soccer fan. And that is, we are playing so well. We have scored quickly in both matches. I love this lineup. I just want them to continue with the confidence and the momentum that they have. And I think the argument that, hey, you could actually keep the vibes going if some younger pieces get in there and excel in this match, and given them minutes, I like that argument from a mental standpoint, that the locker room rallies around that to some degree. Here's the thing. I think Richards, the truth of the matter is, my actual argument is Richards and Adams, those two in particular, don't need to be anywhere near the field. They were banged up coming into the tournament, or have a penchant for getting banged up, and are the most important pieces, and we don't have depth behind them in either of those spots. So
I think you can make the same case for Anthony Robinson.
Probably.
He's been pretty banged up recently, and I think he's one of the 5 most important players on the field.
I will not stand for this Max Arfston erasure. No, I agree. I hear your point.
I forgot he was on the roster.
I hear your point. I just those two I think are above the other two to some degree. Certainly Balogun is the only one that makes kind of more sense than the rest. But I agree with your analysis on Robinson. I agree with your point, Steve, on depth. I think adding some depth and getting these guys more run is excellent. If you told me that Roldan and Berhalter were going to man the midfield, I don't really have a problem with that against Turkey. I think that's great. I definitely think you need to keep Freeze in net, though, because he has not been challenged in these first 2 matches, and Turkey is going to throw a bunch of nonsense at him. And so I like the idea of him getting a lot of tests. And the idea that Turner could start in the knockout is also terrifying to me. So I would prefer Freeze get as much run as possible.
Off the top of your head, how many saves has Matt Freeze made at the tournament?
2?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got something right.
What would be the
Ben Wright, everybody?
what would be the harm of throwing Brendan Aronson out there to get beat up by Turkey for 75 minutes? None. There's
it also is seriously entertaining.
He played every single. Didn't he play like every single match for Leeds this year? Like, he's a pretty durable guy. Get him out there.
Yeah, I mean he's great until he gets to the final third of the field.
But if you're worried about Turkey, if you're worried about Turkey trying to wind you up, maybe just put on your like best wind up merchant and have him like counter the vibes.
You know he'd be great. You know he'd be great at handling an angry, aggressive, and maybe chippy Turkey team. Diego Luna. Just throwing it out there.
Honestly, Weston McKennie is built for this, but I think you keep him far away.
That's the thing, right? I don't want him hurt, and I don't want him getting, for some strange reason, picking up 2 yellows. Like that would be.
I do love the idea of putting out Christian Roldan and Seb Berhalter against, a Turkey midfield that is pretty elite, and watching them just run the show. And I think there would be a corner of the internet that would absolutely hate it, and it would make me very happy.
Were you a little disappointed? I think this is the only thing Pochettino didn't get right in the last game, was you wanted to see Roldan get on the field in Seattle, didn't you?
Yeah, that would have been
nice. That would have been really fun to hear that crowd kind of come alive for that. But
especially up 2-0 with 10 to go, and Adams is on a yellow card. Like, you could have easily thrown Roldan out there for sure.
Yeah,
that was the only complaint I had with his substitutions. Right. I thought he otherwise got them perfect.
Here's what I want to know then. If you're both sort of campaigning for a new starting lineup, more so maybe Ben from you than Cav, I think it's kind of more of a little half and half. Like, I think you could put Tim Ream out there. I think it's fine. Let me know who you want the starting lineup to be then, Ben, on Thursday.
Okay, I would do Austin Trusty at left center back. I would do Miles Robinson at center back, which is an absolutely terrifying thought in a match that means anything, but this doesn't mean anything. So keep that in mind. And then I would put Mark McKenzie at right center back, which I think Trusty and McKenzie are totally fine. I thought Trusty did a good job kind of closing things down. Kind of across that 4 line, I would have Max Arfston at left wing back, Roldan and Berhalter in the middle, and then I would have Tim Way at right wing back. And then up front, you can go a lot of ways. I would probably do Brendan Aronson on one of the wing spots. I would do Alex Zendejas at the other one because I think he's been like fantastic for his club, and I think he's kind of the wild card in this group, and we haven't seen him yet, and I think it's going to be important to kind of get him up and running before the knockout rounds because I think he's going to be pretty important in games where they're chasing a goal. And then I'd do Ricardo Pepi up front. I think he's clearly the number 2 behind Balogun, and I think he'll still play an important role. He's maybe not like your S tier guy of terms of importance, but I think it's important to kind of get him in form and then bring Haji right on at some point.
Okay. Cav, you good with that?
I'm fine.
Bring some more of the guys back in as the game unfolds.
I would love to see. I would love to see all these guys get a run. In part because we talk about depth, and sometimes in these friendlies we just don't know. And in a friendly where you can sub 11 guys, what do you really find out about 30 minutes of run out at the end of a game against somebody else's second 11? This is the real thing. This is a World Cup game when it matters. I would love to know what Max Arfson really can do. I mean, I'm terrified of what he may do, but I would love to know sort of kind of like what he can really do. I would love to see Tim Weah set free out there and just pounding that other back line.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot of fun to watch.
I have a slight correction. The Miles Robinson thought terrifies me too much. I am sliding. I'm sliding Mark McKenzie over to the middle center back, and I'm throwing in Joe Scally in the Alex Freeman role.
There we go. I don't mind that. I like that better.
I feel better about that.
I already feel better about our chances. I already like it.
Throw Miles Robinson on for the final 10 minutes.
So our right center back, you've now made a foot shorter.
I mean, but to be fair, like it's that kind of flex back where you're playing as a right back out of possession and a right center back in possession, and that's kind of Joe Scally's bread and butter. I mean, he also plays kind of on as an outside center back for his club team.
Yeah.
I think he is the Freeman replacement on this roster. Like if you're just going positional profiles, so if from that perspective, it makes sense to get him out there and see if he can do the job that he was really brought into this camp to do.
Make sure you subscribe for all of that incredible analysis from Ben Wright, 615 Soccer. Make sure you also support Good Local Journalism Nashville banner for Cav. Listen to all the other great shows across the 440 Sports Network. Support our good sponsors. Yazoo Brewing Company will have a great watch party, of course, coming up on Thursday up in Madison. You got East Nashville Beer Works, and you've got Tennessee Brew Works as well. Yazoo, the OG, of course, with Pale Ale and Dos Perros and Daddy-O Pills. They got great beer up there, so still producing over 20 years of producing great award-winning craft beer in Middle Tennessee. So check out a good local tap room near you. Quickly, the path. Belgium has struggled. It looks like Bosnia-Herzegovina could be statistically the most likely first-round matchup. Obviously, Spain looms down the road after they got off the schneid 4-0, against Saudi Arabia. But Egypt gets their first win ever in the history of their country with, of course, a beautiful goal from Mo Salah. So I'm curious what you guys make quickly here as we let everybody go. We're going to be back on Friday after the match, so stay tuned. But what do you guys make of the path? Are you allowing yourself to look that far? Is there no reason to look that far? How should people be approaching the knockout bracket as it is beginning to set into place?
Two quick things about Belgium, which is the least scary team that I have seen in a long time. I've watched them now twice, and they are not going to be there for us. But if they are, they may not even have Jeremy Doku, who may be headed home for the birth of his child. There's
by the way, is the absolute right choice.
Absolutely.
I don't think. How about this, Mr. Wright? I don't think it's up to any of us to tell him what's right or wrong choice. That is his choice.
What I'm saying is he made the choice, and he's getting hammered by fans who are like, "How can you think that the birth of your child is more important than playing in the World Cup?" And
if he plays in the World Cup, the other half of the fan base is going to say, "How could you miss the birth of your son?"
I'm just saying it's ridiculous I'm saying it's ridiculous for a lot of people who have never even kicked a ball in like a semi-professional thing to say, like, to question like why someone could think that being there for the birth of your child was even comparable to a World Cup game. Like,
absolutely.
I don't. If he decides World Cup over birth of child, I don't have a problem with it.
But everybody would be saying, you know what? I kind of get why he would make that decision, but it feels like people are shocked that the counter decision is like even defensible, and that's just a ridiculous thing.
It sounds like people need to get out of everybody else's business, is what it needs to be.
I'm just saying, having a child is like playing in a World Cup. Yeah, easily one of the best things that you can do. Like is it
his first child?
Yes.
Yeah.
But like,
how have we not learned
more?
How have we not learned from the accidental birth of Florian Balogun in America?
What are we doing here? Like,
what are we doing here? Over. Why are we not?
Why let's bring him to
America?
This is
and having
idea.
an elite level, having the opportunity for an elite level winger in 20 years.
Let's get a traveling. Like a traveling God, why am I drawing a blank on not the children's hospital delivery? Like now I'm drawing a blank on it. Ben, you've done this like 6 times. Why am I drawing a blank on this?
Yeah.
Yes, let's get her over here and bring like a whole traveling
mobile delivery unit.
Yeah, mobile delivery unit. Let's go.
Hey, that looks like the Copa America is going to be here in 2028. We have time to plan this out. We can.
There we go. Okay, quickly the path. Anything else on the path? The path.
That I don't know what that was. That scared me.
Have you never seen Monty Python ever, Ben? Are you too young?
Old enough.
I mean, that was a different generation. I'm sorry, guys.
You shall cut down the mightiest tree in the forest with a herring.
I was 9 months old at the '94 World Cup. So
you shall bring us a second strawberry and place it next to the first strawberry with a little 2-layer effect, with a little path down the middle. Continue.
The path.
This is a fascinating glimpse into your culture. I thank you so much for sharing this with me.
There's nobody on the path, at least in the round of 32, or maybe even in the round of 16, that should be scaring America right now.
Yeah, our current probability model has Qatar in the round of 32, then Egypt in the round of 16, and then you'd run into Spain in the quarterfinals. I mean, some currently have. I mean, if the group stage ended right now, they would play Ecuador. I don't think Ecuador will be in that position once.
Ecuador will not.
I'm not erasing Belgium either from a win.
I mean,
we'll see.
Romelu Lukaku is maybe the only forward that I would feel good about Tim Ream tracking down in a foot race. But right now, the Athletic, they have Bosnia as a 58% chance of being the team that the U.S. plays in the round of 32, and then it looks like they would play either Egypt, Belgium, and Iran on one side of the bracket against Czechia, South Korea, and Algeria on the other. All of those teams feel very beatable.
Yep.
I'm getting excited, but I don't like that I'm getting excited. So
selfishly, I kind of want the U.S.-Iran game for the sheer irony of it all.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted that in the round of 32, but that would have required finishing second in the group.
Yeah.
All right. Get excited, also, boys. Get excited.
Leo Messi just missed a penalty to make him the top scorer in World Cup history. So,
miss a penalty. Wow. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, 615 Soccer, Yazoo Brewing Company, Tennessee Brew Works, East Nashville Beer Works, Nashville Banner, all the other great shows across the 440 Sports Network. We will be back after the match on Friday. So thank you all for listening and hanging out. Ben, you're great. Steve, you're great. Go to a dentist, buddy. I hope everybody's watching on YouTube.
It is in my immediate future.
I could tell. Other than that, I'm Braden Gall. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out, guys. We'll talk to you next time. Go America.